Alright, big up Base the Kid. Let me correct some information. The annual saver on DAZN will increase from £99.99 a year. There was a clerical error on the letter, and they said it will increase to £14.99 a year. But that's incorrect. It will be £119.99 a year. That's the upfront payment, which will be an increase of £20 a year for the annual saver. Now, I thought they got rid of the annual saver and put everybody on the second tariff, which was £9.99 a month, which would cost you £119.88 a year. They've kept all three tariffs. The second tariff will go from £9.99 a month to £14.99 a month, which will cost you £179.88 a year. That's approximately a £60 increase. Quite a bit of money. And then you have the flexible pass, where you can hop in and hop out and use it sparingly on the months you want to use it. That was initially £19.99 for the month, which could cost you, well, if you used it every month, which would be stupid, it could potentially cost you £240 for the year. They've increased that tariff to £24.99 a month, potentially nearly £300 a year. So what they're really trying to do is encourage people to get that annual super saver, lock you in for the year, which is only a £20 increase. The other two tariffs will cost you £60 a year extra.
And I really respect any type of boxer that go lace it up, because a lot of motherfuckers be doing all this, but these niggas want to hop in a boxing ring. Them shots that Devn Haney took last night and still was able to get up, a lot of y'all niggas will be folding. Like, you feel me? Y'all niggas be covered up in that fetal position, but niggas like to talk that shit. That shit funny to me. Niggas really be popping it. They like to pop it, but they don't have the bravery to go lace it up and go fight. A lot of y'all niggas be ducking fades all the time, but be in the comment sections like, oh, he got his ass beat. Ha, 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 ha.
I'm probably old enough to be that kid's granddad. But he's not a kid, he's got an old mind. He's young, but he's got an old mind. And what he said was true. People are talking about Devn Haney's chin. He's got no punch resistance, he can't do this and that. Is this the same guy we're talking about who sparred with Gervonta Davis and was out on his feet, apparently, and came back to give Gervonta that work? If he had a really poor chin, he wouldn't have got through the 12 rounds against Ryan Garcia. He wouldn't have got through. If his chin was as bad as a lot of people are saying, no, he doesn't get through the 12-rounder against his opponent who had 26 fights, losing only one, with 20 knockouts on his record, who we know, well, at least in my opinion, deliberately didn't take off the 3 extra pounds to make weight. And more than likely felt very strong in there and was throwing probably the hardest punches he's thrown so far throughout his whole 8-year boxing career. Punch resistance is only one component to the narrative. It's only one component. If your footwork isn't correct, you will go down from punches. Easier than when you're balanced correctly and you're boxing well. See, people are forgetting, like, these guys have had 6 fights previously when they were kids, but nevertheless, Ryan still knows a lot about Devn, and Devn knows a lot about Ryan. But this is what I'm saying, like when they say Anthony Joshua and Otto Wallin, he fought this guy he used to spar, so it's going to be easy for him. Well, it doesn't make sense, because if they sparred a lot of rounds together and fought each other as amateurs, then Otto has as much experience of Anthony Joshua as Joshua has of him. And if you're going to say, well, Joshua beat him in the amateurs, that's why. Well, Roy Jones beat Tarver in the amateurs. Tarver went on to beat him 2-1 in the pros. Henry Tillman beat Mike Tyson twice in the Olympic trials. Tyson knocked him out in 1 round as a pro. But ultimately, somebody's going to take more from it and gain more when they do eventually meet in a more career-defining fight. And it was AJ who looked like he had advanced way past their sparring sessions and their amateur fights. Well, on this occasion, it looks like Ryan, perhaps tactically, physically, psychologically, he felt he could do something in his fight, and he did. Sometimes you're just in the right place, at the right time, the right fight, for you to shine. And kudos to Ryan, congrats, but he still has to prove it to me that he can do this on a consistent basis. If Devn didn't have a chin, he wouldn't have become undisputed champion. He's got a chin of sorts. They used to say Roy Jones didn't have a chin. Well, when he got floored by Lou Devn from the BX, a southpaw, very capable fighter, very capable, in 1998, he got up. But when Antonio Tarver cracked him, some 6 years later, well, what happened? He got stopped in two. It's just two different situations. Some say it was all the weight he took off from fighting John Ruiz a year previously to win the WBC heavyweight title. Some say that's nonsense. It was only 19 pounds. Chris Bird, he didn't buy that theory. But yo, Tarver and Jones fought as amateurs. I believe Jones won. He had some inside track. In my opinion, he won the first fight they had in the pros 6 months previous to knocking Roy out. He won the first fight. And Tarver told him before he knocked him out, any excuses tonight, Roy? Any excuses before the first round? And he took him out. Now, with Roy, you've got the first Montel Griffin fight, which he lost by disqualification. He didn't look good in that. But the controversial points win, the first fight with Tarver, I think that took a lot of confidence from Roy going into that rematch. Because I remember watching it Sunday on BBC. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? I thought Tarver won it. They gave Roy the decision. I don't think Roy's confidence was where it needed to be. That's what it takes for you to hit the canvas and not get back up. Is you just don't feel right about yourself. Punch resistance is one component of you getting knocked out. That was the worst Devin Haney's boxed. The worst. He said that they prepped for the left hook from Ryan Garcia, but it didn't look like it to me. But they did prep for it. But they couldn't execute. Sometimes you can't execute. I'm not sure if Devin has the best chin, but chin is one component. To go with that chin, you need heart. And he showed heart. Championship heart. You don't beat the names Devin Haney has beat, and all of a sudden, you're just garbage. I don't agree with that. It could be all downhill from here. Yeah, it could be. You know what I mean? Like, there's more to it than punch resistance. You've got to be able to come back from setbacks in sparring sessions, in fights. You've got to be able to come back. You've got to live the life. He's only 25. He's achieved quite a lot, but he's still only 25. There's still a lot to learn. Amir Khan probably didn't have the greatest chin. And after Bradis banged him out in a couple of seconds, it looked like it was over. He went on to become world champion and take some significant scalps and make a lot of money from boxing because he's got heart. One thing you can't deny from Amir Khan, he's got heart. He's very fast. He has other attributes. There's more to it than just punch resistance. Now, Devin just needs to go find and reacquaint himself with the things that made him successful until he lost and add on to that. Do people write people off a little early? Yeah, they do, because it's attention deficit. That's what it is. The easiest thing to do is just make a lazy analysis. Yeah, he's done. He got no punch resistance. He can't punch. We're saying he can't punch, but in his last fight, was he the first to deck Regis Prograis? And he hurt him a couple of times too. There's got to be middle ground. Like, listen, in my breakdown of the fight between Ryan and Devin, I missed a lot of stuff. But I also got some stuff too. I said, yeah, Ryan can hurt him with them sweeping left hooks, and he did. He did. What I missed was Ryan actually has very good technique when he's focused with his left hook and his right hand. And I don't even think he was at his sharpest against Devin. I don't think he was. To me, there's still a lot that he's doing wrong in there. There's still a whole lot. I think the weight had a little to do with the result. Wasn't the only thing though. I think Devin was a little spooked by Ryan. No one's seen them amateur fights. I think Ryan took a few things from them fights and knew that he could potentially land some punches that other fighters ain't been able to land on Devin. Devin said he prepped for that left hand, but he wasn't successful in defending it. And perhaps as an amateur, Ryan was able to land that punch on him, and Devin knew this would be a problem. Obviously, he's not going to tell us pre-fight. Boxing for boxers is a glass half full endeavor. It has to be. It has to be. Like, I was looking for the receipt when back in the day, Mike Tyson said, when replying to what was his best performance, he replied when he got beaten up by Buster Douglas. They were wondering, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, look at the punishment I took. Who could have took that kind of punishment? But a lot of people don't look at it like that. They look at it like, oh, you took a lot of punishment, you're done. And it can take years of the clock. And it can leave you blunted. It also can reaffirm that, yo, I can take it. And next time, when I get my tactics better, you're going to see a different Mike Tyson, different Devin Haney, a different Amir Khan.
We all refer back to the Buster Douglas fight, but you don't view that as your worst fight at all.
That's one of my best.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that
Because
before.
I took some fucking shots. You know, and I said, wow, nobody would have took them shots. It was just some bang.
But you took those shots from lack of preparation on your side, or was he just so...
No, he fought a great fight that night.
Mike Tyson, iconic status. Joe Budden tried to give him a soft spot to land. Oh yeah, you just weren't focused, innit, Mike? No. Mike said, no, he just fought a great fight that night. Buster Douglas with the 84-inch reach, I believe. Buster Douglas, who was decking Mike Williams with that jab. Mike Williams used to give Mike Tyson all types of trouble in sparring. Buster Douglas, who was way up on the scorecards against Tony Tucker for that vacant IBF belt. But his gas tank let him down. Never dedicated himself. Mickey Duff told the old guard being Costi Amato, Jim Jacobs, Bill Clayton, Kevin Rooney. Anything important about boxing, Mickey knew it. Mickey knew it. He told the old guard before Don King got in, stay away from Buster Douglas. That's how Mickey used to talk. Amongst the American boxing fraternity, Mickey was well respected. With D'Amato, Arum, matchmaking, Mickey knew his shit. And he used to box. Mickey Duff told them, stay away from Buster Douglas. Don King didn't get the memo. 40 plus, something to one underdog, Buster Douglas. So people in the trade knew, oh, this could be a bit dicey. Then you add to that, Buster Douglas's mum passed away and he dedicated the fight to her. He came in the ring in shape, in the best shape we've ever seen Buster, motivated. And then there was the long count where Tyson decked him for what looked over the 10 count, but Buster got up in accordance with the referee's count and went on to batter Mike and beat him. This was a beating Mike had to take. Sometimes you can't run away from the beating. You can't run from it. You might want to run from it, but you can't run from it. Like Joe Louis. When I think about what Mike Tyson's saying, what was his best fight? It was that beating he took from Max Schmeling, the first fight. And he took an absolute fucking pasting. An absolute pasting. You can see it online. Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling 1. He took such a pasting. But he took his lumps and he got knocked out in the 12th round. A result he avenged a couple of years later when he was champion. In one round, he destroyed Schmeling in the rematch. But without that beating, we don't get the Joe Louis who reigned for 11 years with 25 defenses. Without that beating there, we don't get that Joe Louis. And whatever Devn Haney we get, whether, it's all downhill from here or he learns and becomes an all-time great, whatever version we get, we don't get that without that beating he took from Ryan Garcia. He's got to wear his lesson, whether he likes it or not. You got to be glass half full. You've got to see good in your loss. All this, he was humiliated. How was he humiliated? Did he quit? See, what we call humiliation. Is humiliation quitting? Because, that's the big topic in boxing today. Did he quit or not? Did he quit? Oh, you're in the Hall of Shame. But now we're calling humiliation somebody getting up from knockdowns, taking it all the way into the championship rounds, and finishing on his feet, not quitting. That's humiliation? Depends whose standards we're going by. But when you get into that fight that you can't win, like Eubank versus Watson 2, he said, I know I can't beat this guy because Michael's engine that night was relentless. And that was after the first fight was scored a majority decision for Eubank. Most people thought Michael Watson won. This time around, Michael switched it up. He weren't doing this counter-punching thing. He was leading off. And he was throwing combinations all night. And he was way ahead on the scorecard. Chris said, I know I can't beat this guy, but I know I can stay with him because he was running up the hills with his brother Simon. He took him on the runs. And he says he knew that he had the stamina. And he stayed with it until the 11th and the 12th. The rest is history. The eccentric Chris Eubank. He told Nassim Hamed, don't always beat up your sparring partners. Sometimes just defend. If you know you can beat them up, don't always beat them up. Just defend. Chris wanted to explore the thresholds of his durability to make sure he never came lacking in a fight. And that's what he told Nassim Hamed. There's also the famous sparring stories with him and Harold Graham, the bomber from the Winker Bank, the elusive one, the chairman of the Who Needs Him Club. as he was named by Mickey Duff. They said for days, Harold was just making Chris look stupid. And Chris kept going in there. And they said it was really bad. He was missing and looking really stupid. I think Nassim Hamid made a comment how embarrassing it was. And Chris kept going day after day, day after day. And then that one sparring session, I believe Eubank caught him with an uppercut and knocked him out. What it was that humility to accept this is what is going to happen when I'm sparring him until I work it out. A lot of people probably wouldn't have went back the next day to spar with Harold Graham. But Eubank knew he had to stick this through. He had to stick it through. And that's why he never fought Harold Graham as a pro. That's why Nigel Benn never fought Harold Graham as a pro. That's why Michael Watson never fought Harold Graham as a pro. Or Tony Simpson. The only one of our top middleweights in the 80s who fought him was Mark Kaler. And he lost. Good fight though. Kaler put up a good fight. Yeah, but in terms of sparring, you spar them rounds with Harold Graham, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn something, especially if you stick with it. If you spar Harold Graham for any prolonged period of time, no boxer you face is going to be awkward for you. No boxer. Sometimes the only way to learn in boxing is to take the beatings. You've got to take the beatings.
Suppose I let that discourage me. Suppose I said, wow, he beat me, I ain't shit. I'm a bum, I'm not going to beat him, I'm so stupid. Imagine if I did that, that's nothing, I'd be champ in 6 months. Imagine if I said, not that, man, maybe I should give it up. He kicked me in the ass, he knocked me out. Maybe I don't got the heart for this no more. I would never do that. Listen, you think the great Mike Tyson would let something small like that discourage him? Getting beaten? You know, life is about coming back.
Now, knowing the nature of the beast, some people quote things that you didn't say. I didn't say Devn necessarily comes back as a Hall of Famer or Pernell Whitaker. I don't think he's on that level. But he has youth on his side. And I believe, you know, there's a few things he's got to learn about the game. He's got the heart and a learning curve to come back and, you know, and have some good fights. You know, matchmaking that plays a part in how he goes forward.